figured this is like what we're interested in, so why not?
True.
I love Luther. Like when you want to talk about like a male character with a slow burn, but has you kind of like kicking your feet, like like with the banter. Like that was me, like the entire like first and second book of the series. I do have to say, like, don't get me wrong, I like the female main character, but knowing you, Alyssa, you would be so annoyed with her in book 2.
Why?
Like, you would be so annoyed with her. However,
Why?
she intros, like in the second book, she intros a Riddick, like type of character, but he's better than Riddick for like an accessory character who's like really fun and really witty, and you see a ton of personality. So
I
imagine
feel like Sam said that same thing.
Yeah, yes. And when I got there, he made the second book for me. Like the tension and the banter between like the main male character and then the what's his name? I'm not going to tell you the name just so you can figure it out who it is. But when she enters this other one, we were on the plane. Where were we flying? Were we flying?
Jeju.
Oh, Jeju. And I'm like sitting there while the kids are definitely watching Cars. Ella's sleeping on me. And I'm just like giggling. And Travis is just looking at me like, what are you laughing at? And I'm like, you wouldn't understand, babe. He's like, it's one of your smut books, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, it is one of my smut books. Like, get over it. It's fine. So I really liked it. And the third book or the final book of the series is supposed to be coming out soon, like before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. I did
so
okay, but I'm so curious why I'll hate this girl.
I mean, I don't want to give it away to you, but she's very much like, she's a strong female character, but she's like in denial and like living in Delulu land the whole second book. And so you're like, are you really like that naive? Are you really that naive? And they talk about it on the Fantasy Fangirls Deep Dive, how like they call it Delulu DM because that's the main character's name. And it's like a game they make of like how Delulu is DMing like during this book. Like it's a joke because like for us as the main readers, like you can see what's happening, but she is the main character, can't see what's happening. So it's taking her, like the whole second book is her coming into her own on like understanding and realizing the world's not what she thought it was.
Right.
If that makes sense. Anywho, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I love it. I love Luther. It got me over the heartbreak of like waiting for the next book of the Empyrean series. And so now I'm actually, I love it. So 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Welcome to Momtroversial, the podcast that dives headfirst into the beautiful chaos of motherhood and dishes on the stuff we wish we'd known and nobody tells you. This is your tribe for informed consent and unfiltered real talk.
Hey, I'm Leah. I'm a scrunchy nurse writing the Hot Mess Express. I am your girl's girl, here to remind you that it's fine, you're fine, everything is fine.
Lissa, a crunchy mom who's all about organic living with a side of mac and cheese. We're not crazy. I'm organized, opinionated, and your designated wing woman in any parenting bar fight.
And I'm Tori, your ride or die chaos coordinator, who will absolutely hold your baby and your secrets, here to get in the trenches with the filter off and the vibes real.
So
sweet.
You had strep this week?
Yeah.
Ugh,
I'm sorry.
I used to have strep all the time.
As a kid, I did all the time. I used to beg my mom to take my tonsils out. And
like
she wouldn't
5
do it
times
because
a year.
That's an elective procedure.
Does it cost money? All I know is TRICARE.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
TRICARE pays for everything.
Oh my gosh, you're a military brat? How did I not know that you're a military brat?
Actually, I'm not. I just never needed anything that really cost money as a kid. So I think I just didn't know anything about insurance.
So my mom growing up, my mom was a nurse. So like I grew up very much like tough love. And the only way like we missed school or like I went to the doctor was if I was literally like dying and or needed antibiotics. Otherwise, mom's like, here's Motrin, go to school, you're fine. Like that was like my upbringing. So Travis like gets on to me now because as an adult, like I never go to the doctor for anything. Like I have to be dying. And he's like, I just don't understand. Like someday you're going to have cancer or something and you're just never going to find out until you die. And I'm like,
hopefully not.
Like probably that's going to be me. And it's fine because I'm not going to waste my time going to a doctor that's not going to do anything for me anyways. I've done that enough with our kids.
Honestly.
Literally my life this week.
Did you take your kids to the doctor?
They swab me as a courtesy.
That was crazy.
They swab you as a
what
courtesy?
did the doctor tell you? No, the doctor was like, take some Motrin.
Yeah, she's like, alternate
Literally.
Tylenol, Motrin. You literally have a virus. Like, there's nothing that I can do for you, but like, just like basically to make you feel better, I'll go ahead and swab you.
And you had strep.
And then, yeah, she had to eat her words and call me and tell me that I had strep. So she's like, oh, yeah, so we're going to need to do antibiotics and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yep, okay, yep. She's like, is all that fine? I was like, yep, it's all fine. I mean, I wasn't going to leave there without her swabbing me because, you know, like, just in case, you know, that was the whole reason I went. I mean, I was like just not getting any better after days and days. After 4 days of sleeping through every nap and just feeling like I was going to die, I was like, I have to go to the doctor.
Is there a homeopathic treatment for strep that you guys know about?
I'm sure there is, but some things like the homeopaths will usually tell you, maybe not the homeopaths, but like natural minded people, like strep, UTIs, that kind of thing. Like even they'll tell you, yeah, sometimes you just need the antibiotics. So
yeah, I think
I'm
with
sure
strep,
there
it
is.
can like turn into something like way more serious, like scarlet fever or something like crazy if you don't treat it. So I don't know.
I know I have homeopathy for sore throats, but I don't think it as much cures the sore throat as it helps manage it.
Like soothe it. Yeah.
That makes sense. And for essential oils in my like Young Living Facebook group, they like have treatments for freaking everything. Like, I mean, everything, even like strep and UTIs. Like, the girl who created it is like never goes to the doctor ever.
I mean, I'm sure there's things you can do. Like if I catch a UTI right away, I can usually head it off. But I'm talking like if I don't get something together and like working within hours, I'm SOL.
That makes sense. Yeah, those are things like I've never been willing to risk it for the biscuit to try the all natural. Like I've always just been like, just go the antibiotic route. I was just curious if you guys knew anything because I know you guys are better at the like homeopath, all natural stuff than I am since I'm learning.
Yeah, honestly, I'm still learning too, but
same.
I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it that much. Well, actually, that's not true. I've looked into UTIs a lot, and the closest I've come is this company called Eucora, and it's not a cure for UTIs, but it's preventative. It helps like the healthy bacteria thrive so the unhealthy bacteria can't get a foothold, that kind of thing. But that's the closest I've come. But it really does help, I think. It's just like pricey. It's like $50 a month.
Dang.
That's crazy. Well, this week we are going to talk about life as a military spouse and how to find your village. We are all three, as we've said before, we're all military wives. So we've actually all three had babies in a country that is not the United States, with Tori being the winner. So I think for us as moms, like I don't know, for me, that's probably been like one of the biggest learning curves is like how to be a mom in the military because it's so different than the status quo of what you see all your friends from high school or college or whatever doing as they're having kids, and what their lives look like versus what my life looks like is very different. And so that's what we want to talk about today for the other military moms out there, or even just the civilian moms or regular moms who don't go through that. So that way you can just have a little bit more understanding for your military mom friends to send them a little bit of extra love and go over some of the pros and the cons.
All right, let's get Momtroversial. I'd say like something even before becoming a mom that was a big thing for me was when we got married, Ryan was stationed in Tennessee at Campbell. And so I moved from Virginia to Tennessee, and that like we got married and we were gone. Like that was just how it was. And at first I was really stressed about it, but I made like one of my best friends there, and that was amazing. And also it gave us like, we didn't have a choice but to just figure things out together instead of like, you know, I could call my mom, but there was so much less pressure from everyone, so much less like scrutiny on our lives just because there couldn't be because we were so far away. So that felt like so nice. And I loved living just far enough away that we really felt like we had to rely on each other and there wasn't as much pressure. But then it changed when we had kids. Yeah, it was honestly so nice. But then we had kids, and like, you know, we would go visit or grandparents would come visit, and it was just, especially once we got to Korea, like the guilt of like, I've just ripped my child away from their grandparents. You know, when my mom left after Kennedy was born, like I missed her and I cried because I missed her, but I sobbed watching her say goodbye to Reagan and KK, but like KK was, you know, a month old. That was awful. I was like, what are we doing in this country so far away?
Remember after my mom came for Declan's birthday in the fall, I remember like, and I felt like I was doing fine, like, because mom had already seen Declan and like he was born in San Antonio and then we moved here or whatever. But I remember when we dropped her off at the airport and Declan had just turned 2, so he was like just big enough to where he like recognizes people and he like has that relationship, and like when you're around him enough he gets trusting. And when my mom got out of the car and my mom was like walking to like go to departures, and she was like getting teary-eyed, and my mom's like a rip the band-aid off person. She's like, we're not dragging this out, we're not gonna cry, like I'm just gonna go. And I'm like, okay, get it, girl. Like, but then that's what she did. And Declan didn't realize at first. And as I started to pull away and she started to walk away, his window was back. He said, where'd Mimi go? Mimi, bye, Mimi. And I'm sitting in the car and my mom like heard him. And so my mom's like, hi, baby, I love you. And the whole way home, I'm like crying, right?
Literally.
Trying to navigate like a foreign country, right? So like I'm on like Neighbor, trying to read the signs in Hangul because it was the first time I drove like from Incheon or whatever. And Declan kept saying, where'd Mimi go? Where'd Mimi go? And I'm like over here just like, like
trying to mind your own business. Like, okay, like trying to manage my own feelings over here.
I want to cry about it right now.
I know. I'm like, oh, yeah. Where did she go? Like, how did she have the audacity to leave him? Like,
honestly,
what a hell. I love her so much. Mom. Yeah, that's like the pro. I agree with you. Like my biggest pro of being a military wife and a military mom is the fact that like leave and cleave is so real for us. Like leaving our family and cleaving to our spouse and to our family that we have made. Because like you said, you get married and you're just like, you're kind of forced away from wherever home was. And it's just you and your spouse. So in the 7 years Travis and I have been married, I feel like we have really had to just depend on each other more than a lot of other people I know, because they still have the fallback comfort of their family or their hometown that we don't have, right? So like if Trav and I are in sync or we're on like at odds, like that's gonna make life really, really hard, because like I don't have necessarily that comfort blanket of like other people or the routine. I have him, I have our family. And so I think that that's like been a really big pro. That's something I'm really thankful for. You know, we haven't even been married 10 years yet, but like how much growth we are going to have had from this time in the military compared to like, who knows where we would be if we had stayed in the comfort. You just worked a regular job to start off. We stayed in your family and friends. Like, you know, like I don't know how resilient we would be, but I feel like we're going to be really freaking resilient. Like by the time that we get out next year.
Yeah.
But the hard thing, honestly, military being hard, I think was once we had kids. Like having in the military is the hardest thing because of exactly what you said. I don't know. What would your thoughts on that be, Tori?
I mean, I definitely think that everything you guys said, I agree with all of that. I think it was a little harder for me with like in the beginning, but that was more circumstantial. And I think that's just kind of like the luck of the draw with your spouse's job or whatever. But I moved from Arizona to New York, married David. Literally within like days, he had to leave to go to like a month-long training center. And so I ended up just moving back. Yeah, like literally like 3 days later, he had to go. And so I ended up going back home for like a month because we didn't have a house yet. And so when he came back from his training, I flew back, and then we like got our house, and then he deployed like 3 months later. So
jeez,
it was like a really rough start for like everything. It felt like, you know, it was the polar opposite, you know, growing up in very sunny Arizona, like hot, sunny sunshine, to New York where we lived. It was Drum, and it's like very upstate. It's very dark in the winter time. It's like true winter, very harsh colds, like -40 degrees, like So I had like seasonal depression. I didn't like have any friends at first. It was just like a rough go. But I mean, I do think that something that we can all agree on is like the people make the difference. Like when you find like your people, like everything, like it makes everything palatable, it makes everything like, and not just palatable, it makes it fun. It makes it like your life like enjoyable and livable. And you know, where it does still really suck, like kids not being with their grandparents. And but I think as adults, like when you leave, you know, it's like kind of like the whole biblical, like, you know, you leave your mother and father and you cleave to your spouse, right? It's like you're almost like a, you know, it's natural to not spend so much time. But then like when the kids come in, you're like, oh no, like, you know, I do feel sad for my parents, because especially my mom, like I'm the only you know, my kids are the only grandkids. And
same.
You know, she was like talking about somebody she met, or one of her friends or something, was like, oh, my grandkids live 45 minutes away. And she's like, my grandkids live in South Korea.
45 hours away, depending on your flight. Okay.
Like, please be thankful for 45 minutes. Like, so I do think that is like just a huge like mindset shift when someone is, oh my gosh, it's 45 minutes. And I can empathize with that, honestly. I can totally, when you don't know any different, when you haven't been through these other things, you're not resilient against these like more harder situations. So I don't know if there's ever a time where we live like, you know, because we lived in Wichita, we were like 3 hours away. My parents were like, yeah, you're going to be 3 hours away, because we had just lived in Germany for 3.5 years. So 3.5 hours was like amazing. I don't know. It's all perspective based too.
Okay. What about when you go home and someone's like, totally come and see me? And I'm no.
Boo.
I just flew 1,000 miles. You come and see me. And like, people don't, like, I know they don't mean anything by it, but I read the room. Dude. And don't get me wrong, like my friend just bought a new house. Okay, I totally want to come see your house. Or like they just had a new baby. No, you're not coming to me. I'm coming to you. But like we've had people that like a few hours away from home where we're visiting be like, no, come down and see us, you know? And I'm like, no. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm not doing that. Like, you want me to drive 6 hours one trip in a day, or round trip in a day, because you didn't offer us a place to stay? Like, no.
That struggle be real for sure.
So if you've got military friends, just go see them. They will really appreciate it. They won't hold it against you, despite what that sounded like, if you ask them to come see you. But they will really appreciate it if you go see them and just tell them you're coming to see them. Like, I will make time for anyone that says, I want to come see you.
Let's say we have brand new military spouses who are listening to this, and or somebody who's like just got engaged to somebody who's in the military. If you guys, or like you, let's pretend like it's us back when we first got married to our husbands and we were getting ready to enter this time. If you had to look at a younger version of you and say, okay, here are my 3 favorite parts of being a military spouse or being a mom in the military, what would those 3 things be for you?
I love the adventure. Like, I really, as stressful and scary and like sometimes lonely it is to move somewhere, I personally have found that if I find a church, Jesus will bring me friends. So yeah, it's always a little lonely at first, but I have that like promise kind of. And so I love the adventure of that. I love the, like, it's just me and Ryan, and we're just going to go find our new house in our new town that we know nothing about, you know. We're going to go move to Arizona and it'll be great. Good thing Tori's dad can look at our house for us. But that would be one of my things for sure. And I think also just, I don't know, just being married is so fun. Like, it's such a good time.
Marriage.
Okay,
I love
my headphones
marriage.
for sure just died, so we're going to take those out.
So
yeah.
Okay. I would say 3 pros for me is I am a creature of comfort. I do not like things that are out of my control, and I don't like being in uncomfortable situations. And so the me today is not the me when I like became a military wife. And so I think one of the biggest pros is the amount of growth that you are able to have if you embrace it, that regular people just aren't ever going to have, right? Like regular people aren't ever really going to have to move across the country or across the world or every 2 years or learn how to be outgoing and continue to make new friends or learn how to do life without having grandma and grandpa living down the street to watch the kids, to go on a date with your husband. The amount of growth, I think, for me is like a really big pro, even though like growth isn't comfortable, but like I'm so thankful for it because like I feel like I have been able to become such a better person than when we started. I also agree with you, the adventure. I think having the opportunity to like go and move and see these different places is amazing, but also it's like perspective. I think that a huge pro is the perspective shift that you're able to have. You're able to appreciate things. You're able to appreciate, different cultures, different parts of the country, parts of the world. You're able to appreciate friendships. You're able to appreciate certain luxuries that other people aren't necessarily able, or like, not that they're not able to appreciate it, but sometimes it's like you have to be put in certain situations to have your perspective and your horizon opened. And so I think that that's something that I can really appreciate. It's funny because I used to think the idea of like homesteading was like not my jam. Like it's just like, nope, I don't really want to garden. Nope, I don't want chickens. None of that stuff. But then now because of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, can you imagine being able to like live in one house and cater a backyard and a garden to be exactly what I want it to be? That sounds like a dream come true. So I think that that's like a big pro for me. And then I think the other big pro is, and this is something that I have realized now as we are like getting ready to get out of the military. Travis gets out in 2026, and the ease, like, the job is hard, but when it comes to adult things like insurance and logistics of like pay and housing and things like that, it doesn't require any brain power from us, right? Like Travis signed up in college, got commissioned as an officer. We've never had to think about it. As we're looking at jobs out of the military, I'm like, oh shoot, Bob. Like we actually have to think about benefits now. Like we actually have to think about these different things that you didn't have to. And so I do think that that is a pro, but it's not enough of a pro to keep us in for 20 years because some of the cons outweigh that pro.
I don't know that I have any different ones than you guys. I mean, I can expand a little bit, but I mean, I love the adventure of it too. And it took me a little bit because I was very much like a, born and raised in Arizona type of girl when I moved to New York. And I was all about it. I was all about going and doing it. But then when it actually like came to pass, I was like, this is so hard. Like, I hate this. Like, I wanted him to do like 4 years and get out. And then he's like, I can't do that. Like, this is my career now. And like, but then there's this switch that flipped and I was just like, okay, when are we moving next? Like, all right. Like, cause as soon as we did like that next move, we moved to Virginia. And I was just like, you know what? I like this. I like the newness. I like, finding, new things. I like curating new houses to live in and new backyards and new, like finding new ways to drive to the grocery store. And like, like I don't know. I find joy in driving down the rice roads every single day. Like I love
relate.
like, well, I think
on post life.
I know. If I opened my curtains and it was daytime, you could just see like these beautiful rice fields like out my windows. And I don't know. I like appreciate this beautiful cultural anomaly that we would never, ever any other time get to experience this. And, while there are definite frustrations and things, like there's so much beauty in this life. And I think when you hunt for it and you embrace it, like what Leah said, like if you just like embrace these things, like it's just, there's so much amazing, amazing things. I love the adventure. I love the security. I love not having to think about adult things. There's so many things I have to think about. Not having to worry about how I'm going to pay for having a baby, for instance. Like, I'm
so
like,
true. Yeah. I did.
You don't realize
like,
it.
No matter what, you're staying in until we're done having kids. We're just doing it.
I know,
and now I'm
here,
looking at a home birth and having to pay out of pocket for a midwife, so it's fine, I guess. Whatever.
TRICARE would cover certain, I have
Sierra
a friend who
Vista
went to
just
birthing
doesn't have a whole ton of options. And
Oh.
from what I've learned, which is not much, but the one that keeps getting recommended over and over does not work with TRICARE.
Okay, so low key, I know this is like another episode for another conversation or whatever, but as a L&D nurse, I used to be so anti home births.
Yeah.
Like so anti home births. It's not even funny. I was very judgy and like, are you stupid? You're trying to kill yourself and your baby. And then all it takes is having your kid in the back of the car. And now
Look at
every
all
time
that
I talk
growth.
about it,
Look at that growth
I'm
you
like,
wouldn't have had without the military.
dude, because I'm over here, I'm like, it's actually not that bad of an idea compared to what we did last time. Like, so who knows? I may be on that home birth train with you. I'm over here like trying to like, okay, babe, you get out June 2026. We have about 2 to 3 months after you get out, then we still have TRICARE. That means I need to get pregnant at this point in time so I can have our next baby on TRICARE before
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
So I'm like, so
Yeah, I know it's
what
so
would you
like ignorant, but just like again, another podcast. But like I had no idea how much money it costs to have one baby. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
my mom said something like, oh, we still, because you know, like our parents keep everything. So it's like, oh, I still have the hospital bill from when you were born. It was like, you know, X and X amount of dollars. And this was, you know, obviously a lot of years ago. And I was just like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, and it was a lot of money then. And I can't even imagine like how much money it is now. And so like, that's like such a blessing not to worry about that.
I get why we're in a population crisis. I wouldn't be having as many babies either if I had to pay out of pocket.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And that's like just to get started. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's like before you leave to go home. That's like the base.
So what would you say then, if those are some of our pros, what would you say like cons? Top
How
three
much time you
things-
got? No, I'm just kidding.
Top 3 things would you want to prepare somebody for, like that they wouldn't be prepared for?
I would say, okay, just the uncertainty of everything. And we're lucky to be going into a season where uncertainty is less than. Like Ryan was just literally like, yeah, no, my unit's like non-deployable in this next duty station. I was like, what? Let's go. I like literally the weekend that right before I was supposed to be induced with Reagan was when Ukraine popped off, and Ryan was literally packing his bags. And I just remember calling my mom in like absolute tears. Like, if Ryan has to go to Ukraine, will you just stay a little longer with me? She was like, I'll stay as long as you need me to. And I was like, okay. Like, that was like awful. When I found out I was pregnant with Reagan 3 days after Ryan left for Ranger School, which, if you're not familiar, is essentially a no contact school for a minimum of 2 months. That was a whole nother issue. I was totally depressed. I call it prepartum depression, and didn't know about it until afterwards, really. Didn't ask for help because I didn't really even know. I don't even know. But because I have issues asking for help, that's why. And it was terrible.
There's a con, a military spouse con.
But like that's the biggest like your husband is your partner, but then sometimes your partner just has to leave. And okay, no problem, I'll just figure it out. And luckily Ryan hasn't deployed since we've been married. He deployed right before we got married. But since we've been married, he hasn't deployed. Just the uncertainty of it. And then like even the field problems here and there that were, I don't think ever more than a month. I was like, what am I going to do?
I know. And then you have like,
kids.
So like my neighbor has 4 boys and I love her to pieces. Paige, if you're listening to this, she has coined the term in our house. Those army wives are built different, because her husband was stationed at Camp Casey 2 hours north.
Nope.
And she was here and like primary parenting 99% of the time, except for when her husband could come home on the weekends, but he wasn't home every weekend. It was, every so often, maybe once a month, maybe if they were lucky, like every other week. And so she was just doing it all on her own. And I'm like, man, you are built different, like being able to do that, because that's the reality for a lot of spouses or moms is you learn how to be independent. And I don't think anything can prepare you for that except just doing it, right? Like you just put your head down and you learn how to do the thing, and then you learn how to ask for help. and you learn what works for you and you learn what doesn't work for you. And it's not easy, but you have to do it and exercise that independence. But it makes me realize this is why God created the family unit, right? Shout out to every single parent out there. I have so much freaking respect for single moms or single dads, because it's like you said, Trav, when he has to go TDY for a week or so, I'm like, again, I'm going to be by myself all day, every day for a week, But I can't imagine people who literally have to do this all the time. It's definitely a con, because there are times in the military when your spouse is gone, that at least we can look forward to them coming back, and then for people who don't, I just literally so much respect, because it's so hard because you don't have anyone. Again, grandma and grandpa don't live down the street. You don't have anyone to tap in except for leaning on the other moms and spouses that you find.
Yeah.
But
that's the other thing. They show up. You guys show up. Like, if I need something and we're homebound because someone's throwing up, don't even stress. It's at my door, because, we had this stomach flu or whatever we had. And Leah, you were like, okay, here's my digest. This is what you do with it. And it was magical. I immediately requested you to order me some. Like,
we'll die on the hill that digest is the best essential oil in the entire world.
I'm almost excited to be pregnant again just to see if it works for me there.
You can think oils and like homeopathy or juju until you get a stomach bug or you're nauseous. Let me give you my digest. Put it on your chest, put it on your tummy. It'll change your life. Travis did that after dinner tonight. He's like walking around with a short up rubbing it on his tummy. He's like, oh, this stuff, man. This stuff is so good. And I'm like, you're welcome. What about you, Tori? What would be a con?
Though, with David being gone, Tori, right?
Yeah, David's been in some tough units. With his unit in Drum, he was with 10th Mountain, and they are just, they're light infantry. They're very cool Army, constantly in the field. If they're not deployed, this was before the Afghanistan withdrawal, but they were on a constant rotation in Afghanistan, and one unit goes, another comes back, and they're just trading hands over and over and over until it's your turn again, and then you go. He went to 3 different training centers to prepare for deployment while we were stationed there. He was in the field constantly. So that was the start of our life together and our Army life together at the same time. And it was just like, wow, it punched me right in the face. Not gonna lie, that was just crazy. That was such a culture shock. When we were in Virginia, we had a little bit of a break because he was in the Old Guard, which is not a deployable unit. It was awesome. I mean, he still worked a lot and stuff, but there was no there was not a lot of away trainings. There was not a lot of stuff like that. And then, he did his green to gold, became an officer. So there was like a period of a chunk in the middle there where he is very consistent. He's very consistently around. And then when we went to Germany, he was in, what is their unit called there? All the units that are not that one are what's popping up in my head. It was the cavalry unit in Germany, and it's very notorious for being 2CR, 2nd Cavalry Regiment. They are basically the same as it was in Drum. They're constantly on a rotation. We were in Germany when Russia invaded Ukraine. We were the first.
Oh my gosh!
I say we, but first response was his unit, and he had to deploy during that time. And I mean, that actually was a huge, I feel like a iconic, in a very terrible way, moment for everyone who was stationed there, because I think we all thought our husbands were going to die, that we would never see them again, and just to kind of wait and see, are they going to cross the border into a NATO country, because then it's all out war, right? And so I think he was there for 2.5 months. It was kind of an open-ended thing. We didn't know when he was coming back, and I mean, he was certain he was not coming back. So it was just, which he is never. I mean, when he went to Afghanistan, he's like, "Nah, I'm coming back. I'm not worried about this. This is fine." But he was really feeling like he wasn't going to come back. And so it was, that sent me over. I was like, wait, you're worried about this? Oh my gosh. So and we had 2 very small children at the time, and it was really rough. But I think I just, you get put through these really tough situations, and you're forced to be resilient. You're forced to cope because you have to do it for your children. I I almost am like thankful that I've been a mom through all these hard situations, because when I think about how I handled it as a young married with no children, like Milspouse, I was not very resilient. I mean, I was resilient, but I wasn't very resilient about it. You know, I like bitched and moaned about so many things, and like was in like my little depressive heaps, and like, you know, went home 3 freaking times in 9 months while he was deployed, you know, like
I would have.
just
I
like,
know.
I don't know.
Shoot, if Travis got to the point now, I would probably just go home before deployed. If we're gonna be honest, like come on, guys.
Well, I do think, yeah, it would be different. I don't know. I think like, you know, you're forced to, you know, kind of like lift up your chest a little bit and be like, you know, show your kids that you can get through it, because you literally have to for them. So then you end up getting through it for you too.
It's also not as easy to move like yourself plus 2 or 3 kids home. Then you're like, okay, so are we just going to stay in like one room in my parents' house, or like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
So
well, I think especially living overseas too, because you know, you did Germany and then you've done here, right? So you can't necessarily just go home versus, you know, I know people who live close to family ish. Where like they can. Yeah. But that's just not a
an option,
thing.
really.
Because it's totally
let me hop on a cute little 24-hour plane ride to home.
Yeah, like
if you can afford it. And if you can't afford it, then you're looking at taking Space A and getting to the airport at 3 a.m. in hopes that you'll get a seat. No, thank you.
Whoop dog.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Oof. Nope.
I'm good. I think for me, one con that I don't think anybody I talked to in the military told me about before I had kids. Nobody could have mentally prepared me how hard navigating in-law relationships are in the military once kids enter the picture, because everyone is fine alternating holidays when it's just you and your spouse, right? Like my parents, his parents, like everyone's fine taking their turns. As soon as grandkids enter the picture, it's like becomes this whole other beast, because it's like everybody wants every moment that they can have now, because you're not able to do it all with them. You're not able to be around all the time. And so I think that that's one thing that I wish Travis and I would have had more conversations about, like from day one, was how are we going to navigate having kids and sharing time with both families with our kids while we're in the military with holidays and things like that, and setting those expectations prior to like our kids being born, rather than dealing with it after we had kids, because then now you have emotions that are more involved, right? Especially like from my end, because I'm sleep deprived and like tired or like whatever, because like it's such a hard balance of like wanting to like serve and take care of like my parents or his parents, and then getting time with the kids, but then at the same time, okay, well, what's the best thing for our family, right? Because like I don't want to sacrifice what's best for us to make parents happy. Like my kids are like, our unit's happiness is the most important thing, but it's this really hard thing that I still don't think we've perfected to navigate, because like it's this weird feeling where it's like you're still somebody's child, but like I'm also a mom now. Like I'm a matriarch, you know? So like I need to call the shots. Like you're not going to tell me what to do, but like I'm also still your daughter, and like I want to respect you. And I think that that's been like one of the hardest parts for us of being in the military, is having to learn how to navigate kids and parents and in-laws and holidays and time together. And like, it's not like mom and dad just come on the weekend to visit. When people come to visit, it's a minimum of a week at a time. If not like overseas, like we are now, it's like 2+ weeks at a time. And that's a long time to have somebody in your space. It's a long time to have routines disrupted, right? And so, yeah, for me, that'd be the biggest con that I would want to tell a younger version of myself to talk about, to think about, and have those conversations and set expectations before you're in that season, because then you could take the emotion out of it. And if you set expectations from the start, it's easier rather than trying to like having to backtrack. You know, like already letting something happen and then being backtracked, like, oh, I know we did this, but we decided like we're not going to do that anymore. You know, it's easier to just say like, this is what it's going to be. And then
I think that that's like, it just evolves too as your kids get older. Like when Reagan was a baby, it was easy. We just went home for Christmas. And then we were going to move to Korea. So we went home for Christmas. And we're lucky. Both of our parents live like 30 minutes apart, give or take. So whenever we go back, and they get along really well. So whenever we go back, we do see all, if we're staying with Ryan's parents, my parents still come over for dinner and stuff. Or if we're staying with my parents, Ryan's parents still come out to their property and that kind of thing. But like, this past Christmas, I guess, and the Christmas before that were the first time that we had Christmas at home. And specifically this past Christmas, I was like, this is special, like with the girls having Christmas at our house at home with our Christmas tree and like getting out of their beds. And like, it just felt different being at home. And I was like, I don't want to travel for Christmas anymore. First of all, it's hard just logistically, like, okay, I'm going to mail the presents to your house and I have to make sure I have everything for everyone, and don't open this one, but open this one for me and all of the things. But like, now I'm like, okay, I just kind of want to do Christmas at home, which is also kind of sad because like Christmas as a kid, we always did it at home. So I'm like, am I home? Like, but I don't know. It just feels different. And I'd be curious to know what you think, Tori, since you're a couple of years ahead of.
I mean, I think we went through that same sort of thing. Like before we had kids, we were home every year for Christmas. We flew home every single year.
Do your in-laws live close to your parents?
Yeah. So my mother-in-law, she lives a little further away now, but she used to live within like an hour of my parents. Now it's like an hour and a half or two, like not that, like within the same state though, like super convenient. And she's super willing to like drive down or something like that. So like we've always made it work. We've done different things. We usually stay like at my parents' house. That's like our home base. And sometimes we'll go and stay up at her place for a few days and come back. Or when we've lived in Arizona, especially when we lived up north, we were actually closer to her than we were to my parents. So we would go down and stay at her place a bunch. And yeah, when we lived there, it was a little bit like different. We're like, okay, on this holiday, we're going to go here. It was like a little bit more like logistics, But when we moved to Germany, like we had only lived there about a month. And we're like, we're not going home after living here 1 month. And, it was Hannah's first Christmas. And we were like, wow, this is like really freeing. No offense to our families. Like we have loved spending Christmas with our families. Like it's awesome and nostalgic and magical and amazing. But it was just like exactly everything you said, our kids getting out of their beds into their Christmas experience. Like that was so important to me and to David. And like, we have basically said the same thing. Like we're not traveling. If we're traveling as a family unit, because we've traveled on Christmas several times. We've been in Italy on Christmas. We've been in Hungary on Christmas.
So cool.
I feel like part bougie, like, yeah, I've spent Christmas in Hungary, but also like I geek out over that because I love to travel. I think when you're traveling as a family, that's your family experience for Christmas. Like that's okay. But yeah, I definitely feel the same way. Like I think it's so special. Christmas is, you only get, a handful of these Christmases with your littles. And so it's like, I don't know. My mom has always put on like the birthday magic, the Christmas magic, the everything, moms are magic, right? So like, I don't want to take that. Like, I want to be magic for my kids too. And I think if we're like shuttling them off to this place and that place to please somebody else, like that's not fair to them. And it's not fair to us because that's like, then we're not even getting to enjoy their Christmas no matter where it is.
Yeah. And my thing is like, you're always welcome to come to us. But now it's not just us packing up and going somewhere. We have to pack up the kids, and you don't have to pack up kids. So, we appreciate it. We acknowledge the sacrifice of coming to us. But, if you want to spend Christmas or a holiday or something like that with us, then that's what you need to do. I feel like that's how it's going to be going forward. But again, who knows? Maybe that'll change. Like, it's just I feel like everything is just always changing. And sometimes people don't always get that because I feel like sometimes I don't always get it at first. And I'm like, oh no, this is changing. And they're like, what? And I was like, no, I didn't know until now either. Like, but it is.
Yeah. It's interesting because like my dynamic's different than y'all's. My in-laws live 8 hours from my parents and like they always have. So like we've always had to choose.
Mm.
And so there is no, you both get us for the holidays unless you both come to us. And our families don't do a lot together either. Like, I struggle, like, being really jealous. Like, I think it's so cool that your parents and your in-laws do stuff together. That's how I want to be, like, when my kids
Literally,
get older, because it
they
makes
hang
life
out
so
with each other
easy.
when we're not there.
That's
And
so
it makes
cool.
life so
I love
easy.
that.
So awesome.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you get more time
Yeah.
with the grandkids, you get more time, like,
Yes.
whatever. But then I have an older sister who has 2 kids, and she lives right next to my parents. So, like, and them traveling to us for Christmas, I don't want to say we'll never, because what do they call them? What's that type of word? It's like
I know what you're
do you know what I'm
saying.
talking about? But, like, don't say always and never, whatever. So, like, I don't want to say
Yeah.
never, but, like, that will never be
Absolute.
a thing.
Yes.
Absolute. Yeah, that will almost never be a thing, because it's like we're not the only grandkids, and so it's just easier for us to go to them if they want to do Christmas together. But that's where I've really had to, like, learn how to have my own voice and come into my own of, like, if it's not serving me and my family, then we're not going to do that. We can come to you after Christmas for New Year's, or we can come to you
Yeah.
beforehand. But, like, if I want to be home with my kids, like, your kids get to be home for Christmas, so why don't I get to be home for Christmas?
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting the different dynamics too. Like, I didn't realize that my scenario wasn't like a norm for military. Like, I think it's so cool that, like, for the most part, when you guys are in the States, that your families are, like, close enough. It's like you can do both, versus we've
so
always had to choose.
It is really nice.
So, like,
Yeah, my in-laws want to move, like, south-ish, so we'll see how long that is a thing for us. But right now, it's really handy. Super nice. Yeah. What about finding a village? What are
living on and off post and how to get connected.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, on post was pretty easy. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to go into, because Tori and I live off post overseas.
Yeah.
So we, like, live very much in, like, the
community.
We
live in the wild.
The Wild West, versus
Korean
Alyssa lives on post. So why don't you go first, since you're the different one
I'm the odd
than
one out.
us.
I mean, honestly, living on post, I've never lived on post before. Like, I didn't grow up military, and at all of our other duty stations, you know, we were pretty invested in wanting to build a real estate portfolio. So we lived off base. And so I've never lived on base. This was my first experience. But for this situation, I've loved it. I love, you know, we don't get mail to our house. We have to go to the post office and pick up our packages.
Sorry.
And
yes.
The girls and but we walk
I still
up
go to
there,
the post
and it's
office
great
all the time,
exercise.
though.
I do too.
Well, but for me, I can just walk, and it's too easy. It's a mile. It's
so
a great
nice.
workout to walk a mile there and a mile back. We can walk to the library right across the street. Church is right across the street. And that, like, there was a period, probably solid 6 months after KK was born, where, like, I had the biggest complex about loading both kids in the car by myself. I was like, no, I just literally cannot do it. Like, that is an impossible task. Cannot do it.
It's hard. It takes so much time, and
It's
men will never understand how much time loading and unloading children into car seats adds on to my trips.
Okay, I know this math doesn't math, but 3 is easier than 2. But I'm just gonna throw that out.
But Hannah can get in and out. She can help Johnny get in and out. So then you just have to focus on Charlie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
3 is easier than 2.
Yeah. But no, literally, like, you didn't see me for a while after KK was born unless I could walk somewhere. Like, that was it. If I couldn't walk there, I was not going. So being able to live on base and having access to so many things, and, like, I think I would have felt a little trapped if I had lived off base. Not that, like, your neighborhoods are relatively walkable and stuff, but, like, just on base, there's more. Korea is so condensed. Like, there's just a little more space on base, and there's so many playgrounds. I can walk within a mile. I can walk to, like, 8 playgrounds, maybe 10. Like, there's just, you know, if the air quality isn't poisonous, there is a plethora of things to do. Yeah. And all we have to do is walk there. We can spend outside time. Like, so I didn't feel, like, claustrophobic. So I have loved living on base. I also love my American appliances. But that was
I am jealous of your oven.
Yeah, it's great.
We have our easy bake ovens here.
Bake oven's great again. But yeah, so like that was a big thing. And making friends was just easier because church was across the street. Going to PWOC was a new thing for me, but it didn't feel that high stakes because all I had to do was cross the street. And that was okay. Like that was easier. So just stuff like that. And even going to the library, I would go to the library and I would just find someone to talk to. And maybe I never saw them again, but like maybe I did. And we just said, hey, how's it going? And moved on with our lives. Like it was great though.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel, I think it was less lonely, honestly.
I could see that.
We didn't have a second car here the first 7 months we were here. Like, and we lived off post. And it was very lonely because like Travis would let me take the car, but it added more stress to both of us. Me having to take him, drop him off, pick him up. And for all of the reasons that you're saying, like I can see how that's so much easier. And like I think this is a different situation for on-post, off-post living because we live in another country, right? So like it's different than if you lived in the States. But like we have 2 big dogs. So like in my head, living on post just like wasn't an option because of the dogs and like living in family towers. That's the way Camp Humphreys base is here. Is like if you live on post here, you're living, unless you're like super, super high up, you're living in like tower living versus there is some like house living if you live off post and at the space that we're at here. So Alyssa lives in the towers and then Tori and I both live in houses off base. So we have more space in our house and we have yards, which is like a pro, and we're like in the community. And so I do like that. But I do think if I had, and I love my neighborhood, like I love the people in my neighborhood too. Like it's so nice, like living in a foreign country. Like I feel like everyone's so much more friendly here, like military wise, because like we're all in another country, right? None of us, like we're all transplants, and so we all know that it's hard, and so everyone's so much more inclined to like, hi, how are you? You have little humans. I have little humans. Let's get our little humans together and be friends. You know, like.
Yeah.
But it's also like find the person who speaks English. Find the person who I can understand. Like, do you know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah. I do think if I had to go back, I would want to live on post if I could like do a do-over and there was space for all of the reasons that you said. But that's just because of the age of my kids. Like I have a 10-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. And when we calculate drive time, getting in and out of the car seat time, like all of these things, like it would be nice to just walk out the door and go to the playground. But then again, like I can clean the kitchen and Declan is playing on the porch, like in our fenced in yard. So like I can get more house stuff done. But yeah, what are your thoughts for living off post, Tori?
So I'm not necessarily really connected to my neighborhood per se. I know a couple of people who live in here, but like we're not super besties or like, you know, we see each other and, you know, on occasion we might like chill in the backyard while our kids play on a random whim or something. But like, I do like the location of where we live. I feel like it's really convenient. It's like 15 minutes to post, which I don't know. I think like, but you know, there's like the added 10 minutes to get out of the house and, the shuffling everyone out to go to a place. It's like, but I think I don't know. I think everybody's kind of different after living in another foreign country. I think it feels harder here and I don't know why. It wasn't as hard for me to like find the village, I think, because at our last place I went to PWC because like I had found friends at a former PWC before that, and I was like, I was kind of tired of doing the whole like, you know, Facebook group posts like, hey, I'm new here, like need like a friend, you know, like, because you just get like, and this is going to sound so bad. And I am so sorry to anybody that
I already know what you're going to say. And it's true.
It's just, you meet people that like, they're not bad people. They're not bad people, but they're not your people. And that's okay.
Yep.
And but like that process, it's almost like dating for friends. It's like, it's exhausting and I was tired of it. So when we got stationed in Germany, we were in the hotel for like 56 days or some ridiculous.
No freaking way.
So long waiting for our house to be ready. But it was a really great house. No regret. But the chapel where we were on another base though. That's a long thing, but like I'm not even going to go into that in this episode. But the chapel was like a short little walk from the hotel. So I'd like put Hannah in the stroller. We'd walk over to the chapel, go to PWC. I met so many awesome ladies over there. I ended up getting really involved, even though we lived in Graf on another base. I ended up later becoming the president of the Vilsa PWC. So it was like, you know, I like plugged in like immediately. I immediately had people who were like, hey, did you get your stuff? Like, I had a friend immediately who was like, she was also in the hotel for freaking ever. And she came and gave me moral support when our stuff was getting delivered. And like, you know, like just those, even if they're not like your absolute best friend, to have like those little moments of support because of someone great that you met, like it's like life-giving and life-changing, you know? And so, I think I've just like go straight to the church now where I'm just like, I'll find somebody really quality there. And again, I'm sorry. I feel like that sounds like other people aren't quality, and that's not true. That's totally not true, but that's just been my experience.
It's just different people and different priorities and different ways of life. And I feel like especially once you become a parent, like there's so many different ways of parenting and they just are not all compatible. Sometimes it works and sometimes it really doesn't. And so that like adds another layer of complexity where like, listen, I'm not judging you. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong, but the way you're doing it does not work with the way that I am doing it. And that just makes it hard to be friends right now. And that's okay. But it makes it just a little bit harder. And it just makes that like, feels like you're being kind of funneled, and the funnel gets a little longer because you got to figure it out and get in there.
Well,
like,
and I think it just prolongs people. It prolongs like the support, getting the support that you need too. It's like, well, and it kind of like adds a little bit of negativity to your mental health, which might already be kind of strained because you just moved across the world, or because you just moved to the next state or across the United States, or like moving sucks, which we'll totally talk about in another episode. But like, it's just so taxing. So to have something, you know, I think I went straight to PWC. We were in the hotel on Humphreys and there was like an if table, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go. And I ended up meeting some really great people there that I still talk to today. And, you know, we just like started going to random events. You know, it's where I met Alyssa for the first time. And I don't know, it's just, you know, you just get, I think I've like shortened it up, but my like bottom line up front about all of that is you have to just plug yourself in, period. Whether you live on base or off base, you have to get out of your residence. You have to get out of your bubble. You have to get out of your comfort zone. And I think it's even more important when you live overseas than not, because, you know, you don't have this buffer of being in America. I mean, you know,
and nobody's going to do it for you. Like you really do have to do it for yourself, and you have to take a little bit of that responsibility and just adult and do it, even though it's uncomfortable. Like, I'm an extrovert, but it's still hard for me those first few times. Like,
it can be awkward.
Do it.
You're just like, hey, so I'm not good at small talk. Like, so that has always been like a thing for me where I'm just like, oh,
I
hey,
hate small talk.
Hey,
it's actually like the bane of my existence.
Yes. So like when I meet someone and they just tell me like all their whole life story, the second I meet them, I'm like, okay, we just become
best friends.
Yes.
I remember the marriage night that we met at, Tori, and Ryan was like, oh, my buddy from Bible study is here and his wife, you should meet his wife. She's pregnant. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, that's fine. And then I met you and I don't even remember how it happened, but then you were like, I need vitamin K for my son that's about to be born. And I was like, you were like, but I don't want the shot. And I was like, no, I literally have oral vitamin K that I use like, 20 drops of, because that's all you need for the regimen. And it's going to expire before I have another baby unless something goes terribly wrong. Like, here we are. And then I was like, I remember just telling Ryan when we were walking home, I was like, I think I like this girl. We're on the same page.
Yes. I know. It was like, there were so many little things because, you can't like reveal too much too soon. You're like,
oh yeah.
Because you're like, oh, what if I ostracize myself and then I become like the town crunchy lady that nobody wants to be friends with. So you just have to like slowly. But I remember you said some things and I said some things and I was like, oh no, she's definitely crunchy just like me. Like, it's totally gonna work. Like, this is gonna work out.
Yeah. And I remember with you, Leah, we were in a Bible study together and you were like, you don't do screen time. How do you not do screen time? And I was like, let's talk about it. And then we took like 2 months to actually get together. But the rest is history.
Well, because it's PWC season, you were super busy.
Yeah.
And then, like, long story short, we were about to get together, and then my son got hit by a car. So, like, that delayed
Pretty
stuff.
much.
And then finally we got together because life, like, leveled out, like, after that. But I remember because I was in that season of, like, I don't remember how it came up, but I remember you had talked about it at Bible study, and we had just had Ella, and Declan was 21 months old. And Declan, we hadn't done screens, like, until Ella was born. Declan had literally never watched anything. And then we were in that first month of 2 under 2 and just like struggling with the transition. But I think we made it harder because we turned on the TV. So Declan was already like discombobulated by having a baby. And then we like discombobulated him even more. And I was like, why is this so hard? Is this supposed to be so hard? And then I remember that's when we started talking about it. And I was like, okay, babe, listen, let's go Bible study, talking to my friend. You're not going to like it. I was like, this is what we're going to do. I'm changing it back. And now my kids are like, don't get me wrong, Declan's a boy. And today he was like trying to fight everybody. Him and KK were going at it in nursery today.
really?
And I'm like, Declan, well, like, probably like back off, bro. Like, back off. But like overall, like, it's so much easier now. Like, and he does.
And now our
so
husbands
well.
go on dates. So
yeah, literally like spirit
So
animals.
cute.
It's so cute. It's so cute. And it makes me sad that it took that long to get there. But I think I did myself a disservice here because I wasn't more persistent about us getting a second vehicle. Therefore, I was not able to get out and like get in and do as much until like literally 7 months after living here, we got another vehicle. And then I had that freedom and that autonomy. So I wish I would have, if I could go back, like especially like as an overseas thing, I wish I would have gotten another vehicle sooner. But I agree. I think, I don't know who people in the military who like don't believe in Christ, like survive. Because for me, like the Finding My Village is always like you said, if I can get plugged into a church, like I have a village, you know, like whether or not we agree on everything, whether or not like we're going to be like soul sisters or besties, like I know that we connect on something major in our lives, like something that we define our lives by. Therefore, like that is a lifeline, right? Until you can find like your people and that's how you can get even more, like in more opportunities. So I think that for me was like the biggest way of like, how do you find your village when you're moving all the time? Like, that's what I would just say, like get plugged into a church, right? Get plugged in to a community, like, and there's tons of opportunities.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Especially here in Humphreys. Like there's so many community organizations. Like, so if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't do church, or, you know, you're an off-post church goer or something like that, like, you know, there's USO, there's MWR, there's the Army Community Services, there's the Spouses Club, there's like, there's just like the Red Cross. There's just like volunteer opportunity, and there's all these little organizations, the Welcome Wagon, and like, I don't know, there's so many different ways just on this one post to get plugged in. So
and specifically here, like the amount of people that I've talked to that are like, yeah, I didn't go to church, but I tried it because PWC had childcare or whatever reason, and are like, no, this is like the best decision that I've made. So like, maybe you don't think church is for you, but maybe it is, or maybe just the people are there for you. Like if you're going to the right church, they're not monitoring your relationship with Jesus. You know, they want to encourage you in it if you want that, but like, they care about you, not like, you know, checking the boxes. So that's a plus too, I feel like. Yeah. All right, guys. I got to get up early in the morning.
So
this was great.
I want to know what's your momtroversial moment of the week.
Okay. Well, mine happened today, actually. Reagan is 3.5-ish. And we've just started letting her, we give her like a little chore chart of like, you know, she has to dustbust under the counter. She has to clear her place, just little 3-year-old chores she has to complete. And if she completes, I don't know, basically if she gets an A, if she gets like 90% of her X's every week, she gets to watch a movie. Usually it's Frozen over and over. But if she doesn't get them, she doesn't get her movie. It just is what it is. And we help her, you know, we're like, okay, if you want to get your X's today, this is what you need to accomplish. And a lot of them are just like second nature to her now. But this week she did not accomplish a movie. or she didn't get all her X's, so she didn't get a movie. And her solution to that was, after church today, she's, my tummy hurts. Tummy hurts. What'll make you feel better? A movie. I have a fever. I'm like, okay, you're not throwing up, like you're fine. And she's like, I have a fever in my leg. And I was like, Brian takes out the thermometer and he checks it. He goes, no, actually you have the opposite fever. It's low. She had a fever in her leg though. So that's that.
She kills me. She
So funny.
kills me. That is hilarious.
So she also tried to tell us that you guys said she had earned a movie, and she calls nursery Ursery. So in Ursery, she earned a movie. And I was like, I just know who's
Big
in
news.
Ursery, so I just doubt it.
That's like when she comes in on Sundays, she'll ask me if she can watch a movie because other people who do nursery will turn the TV on and I don't. Which
Hate that.
somebody came in today and turned it on. I know. So I think that's why she did that when she got home. Because I'm like, they're fine. And then you turn it on. So that's a whole nother day. But she'll be like, Miss Leah, can I watch a movie? And I'm like, girl, no. You know better than to ask if you want to watch a movie with me. Sorry, try again. We had Declan pooped in the potty 3 days in a row. Potty
Ooh, yay!
6 months of my life. Like, it's been so long, but literally yesterday, I was so proud. Y'all, I can't tell you how. I don't think we're like through the woods yet, but I was so proud. I was getting ready to put Ella down. Travis is doing, who knows what Travis is doing. And Declan's upstairs by himself. And he came into the room as I'm like nursing Ella. And he said, Mommy, I poo-poo. And so normally when he says that, it's like, it's on the floor. It's on the couch. Like, it's not in the body. He's telling me so I can like, clean. I know. I'm like, where is it? And I'm like, okay, I'm like, okay, where'd you go poo-poo? Like, and then he said, I poo-poo in the potty. He's like, what? And so Ella's like in her jammies. She was like falling asleep and now she's like wide awake. And I like go to the bathroom and he like points. He's like, I poo-poo in the potty. And I'm like, you poo-poo in the potty. And we start running out of the house. And I'm like, poo-poo in the potty. We poo-pooed in the potty. And Decky's jumping up and down. He's like, literally for like 15 minutes after that, he was so excited, like dancing.
Amazing.
And I'm like, you could not have like told me this would be my life. Like, if you tried, so excited to poop in the potty and singing the poop in the potty song. Like, it was so funny. And then Travis ran in. Like, so I'm with Ella. Mind you, she's in her sleep sack. She's in her jammies. Sis was going to bed, jumping around, singing the poop in the potty. Jackie's doing his little shuffle, like, and then Trav runs in and he's like, and the whole family dance party. And our upstairs laughed. It was great. It was like 10 out of 10. Would recommend.
I love that.
That's amazing. I love it. Mine's not as exciting as poo-poo in the potty, of course.
What is?
I mean, it's hard to beat a poo-poo in the potty.
I know. Like, you should have gone last. I'm just kidding. No, mine is with Johnny. He's very Johnny. He's so cute. But he's yelling for me from upstairs. He's like, Mom, Mama, Mom. I'm like, yes, yes. What? And the more he says it, the more irritated I'm getting, because I'm just like, are you gonna say something? Or are you just gonna like say my name? Like, what's going on? Well, he's like coming all the way down, and I'm like, yes, like, how can I help you? He's like, I just love you, Mom. And I was just like, thank you, I love you too. But like, he had said it probably like 12 times before that happened. So I was just like, what could you possibly want at this point? Like, what are we doing with our life?
Yeah.
Like, well, and something about him though, to like add context to this, is if I'm like, if he says Mom and I say yes, he'll say Mom, and I'm like, yes, John, how can I help you? Because like, if I just say yes, like, he apparently doesn't consider that to be like an actual response to him. I have to say like, yes, Johnny, or what Johnny, or like, I have to like acknowledge him and his name. Also, a little caveat to that is his name is not always Johnny. Sometimes it's Johnny Marshall. Don't know where it comes from, but it just is what it is.
Because that's not his middle name, right?
No, it's not. No, it is not his middle name.
That's what I thought.
But he just randomly came home one day, because I would say John Michael, and he's like, I'm not John Michael, I'm Johnny Marshall. I'm like, okay, Johnny Marshall, I need you to go put your shoes away.
I love that.
He's
Nothing
nice
like being
about it.
told I love you by your child. Like,
Oh my gosh, I know. Especially in the cusp of like a frustrating moment where you're just like, like, what can this kid possibly want? And then he just wants to
Yeah.
shower you with love. Like, I love you, buddy. I love you. He's so
I
sweet.
love it. If you guys have any important topics that you guys want to hear us talk about, or you want to hear discussed about mom life, parenting, military life, or you guys have any really cool tips or tricks that you guys want to share with other moms, you guys can find us on all social media platforms at Momtroversial_podcast. And you can submit those, and we would be happy to talk about them. Thank you for getting Momtroversial with us, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.